This interview is brought to you by Burn Up Coaching and the 21-day challenge. If you're an entrepreneur or a high achiever, you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed, lost, lacking clarity, and you really just want to kick it into overdrive and achieve your biggest dreams and goals, the 21-day challenge will help you do exactly that. So send me a message if you are ready to start your 21-day challenge or find out more, chris@beyourgps.com, or find me on Facebook and message me there and let me know you're ready for your 21-day challenge. I'm looking forward to talking to you and getting you started. Let's talk about our iTunes review of the week. It is by Hannah1125. Hannah says, Chris shows up with such authentic interest in the guest and the audience. Every single show has a golden nugget that I can start implementing in my life right away. It feels like Chris really believes we can all become our greatest self and consistently shows us how. If this isn't in your ear, you're missing out on loads of inspiration, action, and your own greatness. Thank you so much, Hannah. If you want to give us a review, go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes Store or on Facebook and leave us a review there. Thank you so much in advance for doing that, letting us know what you love, what you want us to keep doing, how we can grow, how we can improve, and make this even better for you. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to introduce Angie in just a second here. Before that, though, I want to remind you to grab a pen, grab paper, because she's going to be sharing the gold and the wisdom that you want to write down and you want to implement into your life. Tactics, strategies, stories, lessons, wisdom to really make the difference for you in growing into your greatest possible self this year and beyond. So make sure you stay tuned throughout the entire interview because it is going to be gold, okay? You've been, I don't want to say warned, but you've been invited. You've been powerfully encouraged. It's going to be a lot of fun, definitely. Angie Sanchez is a certified past life regression hypnotist, and she is trained in quantum healing hypnosis techniques developed by the late Dolores Cannon. During a session, people travel through time and space, visiting past lives, other dimensions, and ultimately connect with higher self and the universal collective consciousness. Angie is a speaker, facilitates live workshops, group meditations, and works with people one-on-one to support them in their awakening process and with ascension symptoms. She's also a mindfulness and lifestyle blogger at www.arcusology.com and is a self-love advocate. And we're blessed to have her here with us today. Angie, are you ready to rock the house?
Ready.
She's ready. Awesome. You are now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for showing up today and being here to share with our audience your wisdom that you've gained about hypnosis, about quantum hypnosis, about past life regression, all these amazing healing modalities. It's really, really inspiring what you have mastered and it's very, out of the box. It may not be common or commonplace for people. And I love that. I love the uniqueness. I love that we're going to be diving into something really new and exciting for our audience. So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive right into the theme of the day, which is integrity and your word. And Angie, how does this concept of integrity and your word play a role in your life? What difference does it make for you?
It's funny. I operate in the quantum field, meaning I'm constantly in multiple realities at one time. Last night I was, so this is going to be bizarre for all of those listening and watching.
Love it.
Yeah, we're going to start off the deep end already. Last night I was having a hard time sleeping. And so I was visualizing and this is like, I wasn't forcing it, it just flowed. I was visualizing an aspect of myself that is a mermaid.
Ooh.
And she was traveling into the ocean. And one of the things that came to me, speaking of integrity, which I didn't even imagine I would be sharing the story, it was almost as if in that realm or in that dimension, you don't do anything against your integrity. Because you're always living in this high vibrational state that the idea of going against your integrity would lower the vibration. So for me, integrity, it was almost like this little reminder that if I want to continue tapping into these dimensions, I have to, in this reality, live as well with that integrity.
Wow.
To me, integrity is honoring what feels right, honoring what feels in alignment with our soul purpose and our in our own intention for the world and what we want to create and connect and energy that we want to put out into the world.
Right.
As well as not lowering ourselves, holding that into account is like, if something doesn't feel right, just because you committed to it doesn't mean that it's something that will, at the end of the day, will be worth the time and the effort.
Right.
So part of the integrity for me is honoring that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
Unless you want to learn the lesson of going forward with the action and regretting or learning some sort of misalignment with the people that you're around, whether it's like going to an event and you're like, oh my god, everyone's drinking, why am I here? I should listen to my intuition. So part of that is living in that truth as well.
That's powerful. So it's like there's the layer of like 3D integrity, which is you do what you say you're going to do kind of thing. And then there's the level of like spiritual integrity of, am I listening to my intuition? Am I listening to my higher self in the guidance that I'm saying, and it's like, okay, it's Friday night. You said that you would be at that party, but you're just getting this like this calling, this resistance to going for some reason. It's like, learn to listen, whether that is, just fears or doubts or, limiting beliefs, or if it's like your higher self or intuition telling you, hey, you're not meant to go there, stay home.
Right. Or if you go there because you have this obligation and you get the sense of like, okay, I'm here for an hour.
Right.
To head back home before things really start getting a different vibration. So I do believe in keeping my word. I think that's one of the biggest. But with that is also being honest with a misalignment. Saying, hey, this doesn't feel right, or let's check back in 3 months. Maybe our energies are different, or maybe we'll go through some life lessons where we really see eye to eye and co-create it from that place, versus keeping our word and then just because it's almost like this obligation, this obligation thing. I don't know. That's something that I definitely don't resonate.
Yeah, the obligation should, right? The should mentality. I love it. So, Angie, I mentioned your intro a little bit about who you are. Why don't you share with our audience what you stand for and what your clients come to you for in your own words?
Yeah, so I facilitate past life regression sessions. So people come with questions that they want to ask their higher self. Higher self is this aspect of ourselves that's connected to our soul purpose, our mission in this lifetime. It's connected to why we need certain people, why certain things have happened in our lives. So when people come and they have questions, it really gives them a sense of clarity. What I love about this work is that people see other worlds for themselves, like almost like virtual reality. So it's like you put on the goggles and you're just in another world, even though you're in one place.
Right.
So it's very empowering in a sense that you get to feel, smell, hear, interact with other people, connect with past loved ones. So many people connect with past loved ones who are now in a different, on the other side, for lack of a better word, and feel their embrace, feel their love, receive messages, like you literally hear the messages.
Yeah.
So it's very empowering in that sense. And the kind of people that I attract to my practice are people who are leaders and are gearing up to step out into the world. So,
beautiful. Yeah. I love it. So you have to have gone through some kind of journey to get to this point of having these skills and facilitating these, sessions for people. And I know we talked about it on our pre-interview call, and it's been quite a journey for you. So I know our audience is going to be stoked to hear about it and hear about, what were those formative events that really shaped your perspective, that had you get to be this powerful facilitator, hypnosis practitioner, quantum field, energy, like all this amazing stuff. Tell us where it all begins for you, Angie.
Where it all begins. So I'll tell you guys briefly where the quantum healing hypnosis aspect of that began. I would say about 4 years ago, I was having astral travel dreams where I was...
That's so awesome.
Yeah, I was like falling asleep, and then I could see my soul like come out of my body, like travel through the walls, leave this room. I could hear music. There was this like surround sound orchestra as you're, from my experience, as you're leaving your body. And it was so loud and so profound. And I remember all the voices. Like it was literally, and I was very aware that I was leaving my body and going to another dimension. So with that experience, I mean, you know, we all have experiences where like, oh, this is nothing, or oh, am I going crazy, or you know, what's going on here? I googled time travel. Like I went down the rabbit hole on YouTube and on the Google and found Dolores Cannon, who, you know, anyone watching this can look up her YouTube videos, and she talks about, you know, life on other planets, and her clients are, which is the same quantum healing hypnosis on. Over thousands and thousands of people have come and reported the same story as to, you know, why we're on this earth and to raise the consciousness of the earth and being on other dimensions, on other planets, and coming from other planets. So that all the information resonated with me, and I had a quantum healing hypnosis session myself, where I too had a lot of questions as to my life experience and things I had gone through. And it was a very empowering experience. So that's kind of like the quantum healing part of it, how I came to this work. Prior, God, it goes back so much. Prior, I've been in tune with my guides. I always say that my guides and the angels around me raise me. I can't say that I had parents. I mean, at my parents' wedding, they weren't present. I'm a daughter of teenagers, actually.
No.
Yeah, so my parents, they were kids when they had me, so I don't think they really knew how to parent. Actually, they didn't know. So I was very aware of prayer, of Jesus, of you know, angels. Like I was very aware of them, and growing up as a teenager, I was so like, I don't want to be in this world. What is this? This isn't my world. I don't resonate. Like people don't get it. And so I wanted to devote my life to the Catholic Church and becoming a nun. So I love, you know, the vibration of prayer. I love the vibration of praise and worship. And when I say vibration, I mean like, you know, when you sing and people, when you get chills, and you know, when you say like healing the Holy Spirit and all that.
Totally.
Yeah, so I love that. And I wanted to live in that. And at the time, I had a handful of friends who were gay, and I had invited them to a retreat that I was a minister at the time, like a youth minister, with a youth minister that was like part of the group. Right. Facilitating. And we were with a priest who was a mentor to my colleagues who were men discerning to become priests. So, so it was like the women who were discerning to become nuns, and then the guys who were discerning to become priests. We all kind of worked together to support each other and everything about the journey. This priest, he kind of took an opportunity to talk about how being gay was wrong. And I asked him about it during confession, and his response, which his response led me to not become a nun, basically. Right. Yeah. And so he was very dismissive. And to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to answer to this kind of authority ever. So shortly after, I practiced Buddhism for 3 years. And in Buddhism, again, it's the vibration that I really loved. It's, you know, I practiced Nichiren Buddhism, which there's chanting in it. So you have the beads and hands, and you're saying a chant, and as you're saying chant, you're you know, you're activating your 5 senses. And that was beautiful in itself. However, at the time, I was experiencing a lot of spirits tormenting me, for lack of a better word. I was experiencing like televisions going on and off, music going on and getting louder and louder, electricity. Like it was like all of this disturbance around, and so I was led to have a card reading. This is like my first ever card reading, like tarot card.
Mm-hmm.
And in this tarot card reading, with the people that I had encountered, they knew everything that I had experienced.
Wow.
And so I was pretty fascinated by it. Of course, I was like 20, 21, like going out, with my friends, not living the best life. I think like the average teenager in the US.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting ourselves in danger. And so I feel like this was a perfect intervention for me. Like the universe, God, I think it was like, when you're in a crossroads in your life and it's like, okay, if you live a certain lifestyle, you're going to go this way. If you live this lifestyle, you're going to go this way.
Yeah.
So in this past, I was living this like kind of destructive, going out, partying, like being a free spirit, surrounding myself with people that probably didn't have the best interest for me. And also driving intoxicated. Like that was a thing, right?
Yeah.
Without even knowing. And so I think that was my fork on the road. And so what happened was that I became really involved with this religion. And in this religion, it taught me a lot of structure, and it was something I needed. I didn't have structure growing up. I didn't have this kind of rebellious, a free spirit, always very open with a lot of people, and probably the wrong people. And so I became a priestess for 7 years in this organization. It's a Yoruba religion based out of West Africa. Okay. And a lot of ceremonies around plants. It's very primitive in the sense that there's like energies coming down into your body and dancing in your body, drummings, and so again back to that vibration thing that I was talking about earlier.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so when I sometimes like the deeper you get into certain organizations, the more you break those truth.
Right.
These are how things are really work,
right.
Going.
Right.
So I saw a lot of that, and I had a moment where I literally just, I asked to see for myself the truth of what was, and I opened my eyes, and I wasn't afraid to leave. I no longer believed in the structure and all of the things that I had been taught for all of that time. So I walked away. I spoke to them face to face and said I no longer believe in this, and I walked away from the title of a high priestess, and people, coming to me and throwing themselves on the floor, asking for blessings, and it was like a whole letting go of it's like a king leaving their kingdom,
right? Right.
And so, like, I'm no longer the king, so if you walk away from the kingdom, then you can't expect the same treatment, Right. And you have to start from the bottom up. So it took me a while to get back, to kind of rebuild who I was and who Angie was. So I stayed away from anything spiritual up until I had that quantum healing hypnosis session.
Wow.
And then even then, it took me about a year to actually become a practitioner.
So when you had that healing session, what was it that opened up for you that made you want to keep going down that path again?
It was, so in the religion, a big part of my identity was being daughter of a deity, and this deity's name is Oshun. And I had a lot of pride in that. I had that was a big part of my identity, a big part of the energy that I spoke to a lot. And during my hypnosis session, I asked about that energy, and I asked, where does it fall in my world? I experienced profound ceremony to become anointed as daughter of the ceremony to become a priestess. It's actually a year and 7 days, and you're dressed in all white,
Wow.
And you're indoors before the sunset, and you can't touch anybody unless it's family or people within your religious structure. No makeup. You have to eat on the floor for the whole year in 7 days. On a plate, a particular spoon and particular cup that was in ceremony. And there's like people from all over the world that fly in and they're singing and chanting and it's profound, and it was a very beautiful experience. So my biggest thing was like, where does that relationship go if I'm no longer a part of this? I don't feel like I betrayed this energy, I feel like I did the right thing, but where are we? Like, where is my mother in that sense? My spiritual mother that I have. And so in the hypnosis session, I asked this question, and I saw her. Like, I saw her energy as her form, as she is, come out and hug me and say how proud she was of me. And to walk in the world with my head held high and to just continue on my path. And so it was like this big, I'm getting a little emotional because I'm like, oh, God, I haven't thought of that in a while, actually. And so that for me was like a blessing. It was a blessing to let go of that experience, but rebuild a new awareness, and it's almost like helping people from a different vibration. Helping people from a higher vibration of not needing food, not needing altars, and not needing, in the religion there was like altars, and you couldn't wear a certain color because it meant bad luck. There's animal sacrifices. Like, there was a lot of money involved. And it was just like, let go of all of those ideas and beliefs, and it's just like, it's all within you.
Yeah.
And so that's what the session gave me. And so much more, honestly. That was just one piece of it. But that's what allowed me to continue and be open to discoveries. And of course, that actually activated a lot of discernment, because I would see people and kind of see some red flags. Oh, I know what that means. They're like, I'm not falling for that anymore. Because even in the spiritual space, there are people who don't have the best interests or have these concepts that are ridiculous. Ridiculous. They're just like, like, I've been there, done that. Like, no.
Yeah.
So, it was. I'm very grateful for that experience, and I call it an activation, because there was something within that structure that activated this essence about me that I'm learning to embrace more and more without that.
Okay. And how can other people experience a similar activation? Is that available only through quantum hypnosis? What's the mechanism that is happening that causes the activation?
Like a remembrance, you mean?
Yeah, like the activation. You said you were activated, right, by this session?
Well, the session, yes, but I would say that my religious experience for 7 years activated this aspect in me.
Got it.
Yeah. So this session, the Quantum Healing Hypnosis session that I had for myself, it gave me a blessing. It gave me like you're on the right path. I can't explain it. I don't know. It's like if you have the session one day, it was just it's so convoluted. It's so like there's just so many elements to. My father passed away when I was 8, and I saw him, and I felt his love, and so there's just like all these layers to it. I would say people can experience this through a dream state, or a meditation, or I don't know. There's a lot of loneliness in the world, so it's like I think the more discipline we have as people, the easier we're able to access those messages and those activations, because then you come from a pure place, a lighter place versus a place of like bombarded by all these beliefs and programs.
So what I hear is, if you're doing the daily practices of meditation, or even, some of these different like practices of Buddhism, or, whatever kind of rituals people have to get themselves centered and present in themselves and become aware, then they're not carrying as much baggage or toxicity that they have to like deal with when they get to that higher level of consciousness, that they're more so like running from, and like just get me away from this, get me to a higher place so I can deal with that. Instead of being that, they're like, man, I'm already in total freaking peace and bliss because I'm disciplined with this practice of meditation, for example. I want to get more. I want to dive in more. I want to become more embodied in my spirituality and my love for myself and for other people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Awesome. So let's dive into the quantum hypnosis and like a little bit more about it. Can you tell us more about it? And, for people who are just learning about it, like what can we do to start like moving towards these benefits on our own? And I know you're a meditation facilitator as well, so you're probably bringing in a lot of different modalities into the session when people have a session with you. So just tell us about like what we need to know to start getting some of the benefits of the philosophy that you've accumulated up to this point.
Yeah, so to make it more accessible for people, it's very beneficial to have a facilitator, because we often doubt ourselves as people. We often like if we let's say we're how do I say it? It's almost like I'm operating in a different world and I'm like trying to come back down and like explain it.
Yeah.
It's like if you imagine something and then you kind of like something else, like let's say you're imagining being at the beach, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then without you even trying, you see this like bird fly by in your imagination, right? You see this bird fly by. And it's almost as if we naturally doubt and we're like, oh, that was just our imagination. Like I totally just made that up, right? So, from my understanding and the work that I do, you're tapping into a different dimension. And let's say you're imagining the beach, right? And this bird flies by. If I were facilitating the session, I would say, okay, let's see where the bird goes. And let's see where the bird takes you. And there are no limits. So you can fly with the bird. And the bird may take you to, a waterfall, and you see your reflection in the waterfall, and there is a message from this aspect of you in your reflection. Wow. And so as a facilitator, I am guiding, not so much guiding, but whatever comes up for you, we're more so exploring it. We're more so like, let's see what happened, and you're the one seeing it. You're the one saying, okay, I just saw a bird fly by. So, all right, let's follow the bird. So you follow the bird, and like, oh wow, there's like a herd of birds. And you're kind of like, where did that come from? Yeah. So again, this is something that people can do on their own as well, like in meditation or in falling asleep. Like when you're falling asleep, sleeping, or oh, I started to have this dream about whatever. Possibly write it down, or you can even have that curiosity and say, I wonder what happens next. Or I wonder, like just kind of explore, I guess you can say. Another way to really activate the quantum field is see what makes you happy. Like if you travel to a place and you feel at home in that place, like for me, or I don't know if you've experienced this before, but for me, Hawaii, like the land of Hawaii is a place that there's something about that land that just like, there's like, and I'm getting chills right now talking about it, like it just activates something in my DNA, And so, and this could be any place for anyone, or certain music, or certain like food, like having Middle Eastern food, like perhaps activating like a memory in that. So it's, I don't know if you can like see how I operate. It's just very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're like, it's like, I think the key is learning how to utilize those tools to really be your whole self in this reality.
So how do we do that? How do we like really embrace our whole self if we're just starting out in the journey? How do we like start to make progress on that?
Yeah, I would say do more of what you love. Do more of the things you love. Do more of the things that make you excited, that make you that make you feel like if you have a conversation with someone and you just feel so full of life and so inspired, you just ride that wave. Because the more that you love in that vibration, the more that you know what doesn't. And that's your guidance. That's your life there. So it's very simple, like enjoying your cup of coffee if you love coffee, whatever. Drawing, getting lost in drawing, or getting lost in your creativity, or getting lost in your children, like enjoying the sound of the laughter.
Yeah.
Enjoying the sound of whatever, or really, like if you feel happy, like really allow yourself to feel happy. If you feel sad, really allow yourself to feel sad. And also ask, what is this teaching me? Everything's a classroom. It's like, what is this teaching me? Reflecting that in that moment, being consciously aware in those moments, and really just melting that,
So it's like really sitting with any experience that we have and like paying attention to these different experiences so they can teach us, so they can be reflections of what our soul, what our higher self wants us to know. And it's like through paying attention, it's through being present, through mindfulness, through like, meditation practices that we're able to like filter out all the chatter and the noise and the distractions and pay attention to like what is important and like stay with that train of thought instead of like going from thing to thing to thing to thing. It's not so much about like being always on the go, but about like going deep with one thing or sensation or place or experience.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Wow. Powerful. I love it. So as far as raising our vibration, you recommended that really tuning into what we love, tuning into those present moments are important to be able to do that. Is there anything else you would recommend?
I mean, there are so many things that I would say that's the easier route to take. But there are things that lower our vibration as well, like gossip, or complaining, or sometimes alcohol.
Yep.
Alcohol can lower our vibration and can make it very easy for us to be influenced and absorb other people's energies. So I would say just be aware of those things. I don't like telling people what to do and not to do. So I would just say become more aware of how your body feels in those moments, and be mindful of that and making a decision, right? Like it's ultimately a decision. Do I want to continue repeating this pattern, or do I want to graduate to the next level?
Yeah, I love that. And one thing that I notice, Angie, is you have tons of wisdom and gifts to share with the world. And especially as you grow in your presence and your brand and doing more interviews, you definitely get to be used to telling people what to do, so to speak, because you're sharing information, you're sharing exercises, you're sharing tips and advice and wisdom that works for you. I think the big thing is be bold in sharing what to try on. And if it works for you, great, keep it, use it. If it doesn't, great, let it go, release it. And I think it's super important to like own your power and your wisdom that you have, because you have so much to contribute to people.
Thank you. I thank you so much. I I think, part of that is because I don't like being told what to do.
Right.
And I've never liked it. So it's one of those things that, like, I know I don't like it. So, but you're right. There is definitely a lot of assertiveness that could be, because there's a lot of profound truth in all of those things. So,
Yeah, and especially being a facilitator, it's like becoming masterful at drawing it out, like how do you draw that out? That's something that I'm constantly focusing on with the guests, like with you. How do I draw out the gold and the best from you and from every guest who I interview on the show? What's the best thing that people need to hear? Maybe it's to go through a visualization process. Maybe it's to imagine the seagull or bird flying by. Maybe that's what they need to hear, or people are going to get and grasp and receive, so that it actually shifts their course and direction in life for a better, more positive way. So I think storytelling is one of the most powerful ways that we can activate that. So like being a facilitator, that's something that's super important that you already have. You have so many incredible stories to share with people, and you just get to like really refine them to find the lessons. Like, what are the lessons? What's the wisdom? What's the gold that you got from it? And as you share that, people may hear that lesson, or they might hear something else. I've always found that like people are going to get what they're looking for. They're going to hear what they want to hear in the story either way. So I'm just going to share what I discovered, and whatever they get's whatever they get.
I love it. Yeah, it's a great approach.
I love it. Awesome. So what would you say is your way you're expanding in 2019? How are you expanding your gifts and your abilities?
That's a great question. 2018, I had to integrate a lot of information. And so this year, 2019, it's just more so being out with the information from a more place of wholeness. So I have a YouTube channel where I share a lot of information. I've shared it in the last couple of years. But I did take a break because I was, during the summer, and I say this with the most humility, I felt as though I experienced enlightenment. And it was almost as if nothing mattered. Right? We're just here, and it's an experience. And if I create content, it's great. And if I don't, it's great. So there was this integration process that I had to, and it literally took 6 months now that I think about it. So 2019 for me is more so really sharing from a different place, really sharing from a fuller place of who Angie is in this lifetime.
Right.
So whatever that will lead to, we'll see.
That's awesome. So sharing from a fuller place, and like, what would you say is on your bucket list this year?
I like to hire a team. I like to expand my business beyond quantum healing.
Okay.
I like to have a handful of people that are on my side and we're creating this and doing this in the world.
Yeah. What are the strengths that you're looking for in those people?
Digital creativity. Being creative is a big one. Marketing. Community. Yeah, those would be the biggest, I would say.
Awesome. In what ways do you think you're going to grow in like trusting yourself and tapping into your own guidance and higher self even more this year? Like, what do you see? What are you projecting is gonna bring you closer to being in alignment with yourself and more tuned in, tapped in, turned on?
I think doing the work, sharing the information, just really setting the plan in motion. Just really, it's almost like it's already there. It just needs to start taking off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's think the more that you do what feels good and feels right, the greater that energy expands. You know?
Yeah. If you were to plant seeds this year, what kind of seeds would you plant?
I just wrote that in my intentions for January. I would, some of the things that I need to do, and I'm being completely open and vulnerable here, and it's probably not even that big a deal, but I think outside looking in, people are like, oh, she's got everything figured out. She's got her shit together,
Right.
And one of my biggest flaws is that I don't have everything organized. Like, I'm kind of more so chasing my tail in a sense where I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this by this date. And then I do it, and it's like, okay, now the next thing, now the next thing. So what I really want to do for myself, especially in January, is set these systems in motion. Like, set the systems so that as the year progresses and as the year becomes busier, everything's kind of like on automated mode. And so I have to just go in there and do a little tailoring. But other than that, it's just we're ready to. That's putting the systems in motion is the biggest thing for me.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So cool. So, what would you say is the biggest lesson that you learned in 2018, and what do you predict the lesson will be this year?
The biggest lesson I learned so much in 2018.
Yeah.
I learned where not to put my energies. I learned that there were relationships in my life that I was kind of forcing, that I felt, looking back now, I know they were a reflection of the relationships I perceived with my family.
Wow.
So, like, I would have girlfriends that I would hold space for, and they weren't in the most aligned lifestyle. But I would say, oh, well, she reminds me of my little sister, and I totally get where she is. And in that, I also fell into some bad habits. I also fell into the gossiping without even knowing, into the and it was from a place of like, oh, well, this is life, and like everyone gets it. And it's like, so there were a lot of lessons in that sense where it was like, Ange, don't waste your time. You're not there. You don't need to be there. And my relationship with my sister is so much better than I even thought, And so that was one of the biggest lessons of 2018 was like, we don't have time for this.
Right.
The other biggest one, which I talk to my fiance often, is the phrase of "fuck that," and I never ever, you'll never see any like curse word on anything I post, anything. But one of the biggest things was the "fuck that." It was like, no, like we don't have time for that. So that was the biggest lesson of 2018. 2019, the biggest lesson, I hope, will be to, oh my gosh, what's the biggest lesson? What are some that you've heard? Biggest lesson for 2019. Don't undervalue yourself.
Mm.
I don't know, because I have numbers in mind for programs and things, and maybe the universe is like, no, that's not it. Like, go a little higher. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the lesson.
Yeah. Well, it's like you can picture yourself at the end of the year and think about like the types of challenges that you might experience going through this year, you know, and for me, I would say, I don't even think I've thought about this question. What's the biggest lesson I will learn in 2019? there's like a lot of things that come up, like just do the thing, like stop being afraid of it, stop resisting it, stop making it so dramatic about what there is to do, but to just do it, like that's the lesson. I think that's the biggest gift that I will get by the end of this year, because last year I really started forming who I am and what I stand for. And I think I'm still doing that and moving into that. And when I understand who I am and I'm taking action on who I am, there's still the getting into the momentum of, hey, this is who I am, this is how I show up. Right. So I think like by that nature, I'm really solidifying who I am in this first part of the year. And like, oh yeah, of course, that's freaking me. Unconscious competence. I know who I am. Boom, shakalaka, right? And just standing in that and recognizing that there's going to be consequences and things that come at me to test me of who am I and who do I say I am, and standing in that. And I think that that's going to be the biggest lesson, is like, I'm going to get confronted on who I say I am. And by the end of the year, I will have developed a discipline and a muscle of, that's right, I am who I say I am, because I have all this track record of doing the things that are in alignment with who I say I am.
I love that. I had a huge lesson at, I would say, fall of 2018 with exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I had this woman whom I've known for years, mm-hmm. who said something like, what you're doing is fake and you should not do it, and wow. you should do something else. And so I was so disciplined in my own lifestyle that I was like, that's interesting. And then I kind of like thought about it for a bit, like, why would she say that? Or, but then I let it go, and then I was like, fuck that.
Yeah.
But had I been in a different place in my life, I would have been like, maybe she's right. Maybe she did something and I'm not being authentic. But you know what? Fuck that. No, that's her problem.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful to finally be in that place of knowing who I am and knowing my mission and knowing why I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. That it didn't knock me down. And prior years ago, I would have been like, oh, she's so great.
She's so
like, maybe I should just delete my Instagram and like my YouTube channel and just like not do this hypnosis work anymore.
Yeah. Well, what I hear in that is like owning someone else's truth, and it's like, no, that's your perspective, that's your vision. And I recently had someone who's really close to me say like, I'm not a true friend, and I was like, okay. He said this, what am I going to do with it? Like it was a text message. I was like, okay, like I'm going to receive this. What do I want to do? Well, the first thing I want to do is sit with it and write down in journal, like what comes up for me, like why did this show up in my experience? How do I want to receive it? And what do I want to focus on, And so I journaled like 3 freaking pages for, an hour, just like, what is this coming into my life for? And I talked about it with my girlfriend, most amazing woman in the world, who you're amazing too, and so I can feel it. So I talked to her, and I was like, I did all this analysis, like sitting with it, so to speak, and feeling into it. And she's like, dude, it's a reflection of him and how he's feeling. We only project onto other people what we feel. So like, think about him and what he's feeling about his life and stuff. And I was like, ooh, that's good. So it's just like, I don't think I would have sat with it before. I would have immediately gone into defending mode, and like, who are you? It's like the aggressive to like try to fight it. To fight it off, to fight off an accusation, to fight off a label that I didn't want to own, because deep down inside, I was afraid that I was that, that was the old Chris. And so like to see the maturity in that, I hear the same thing in you, it's like, it's so awesome how much we grow and just really knowing who we are and how we respond differently when we are centered in ourselves.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah. It's awesome. Awesome. I love it. Love it, Angie. So What does your heart want to share with our audience right now?
Heart, what do you want to share? Heart wants to share. Let's see. It's so, I operate in this world, this spiritual world, and I hear this a lot in YouTube videos and the content that's out there about spirituality and becoming aware of our higher self and our guides and our angels. And one of the biggest components I've learned along this journey is to enjoy this life.
Yeah.
Enjoy this body. To enjoy the foods and the flavors that we eat. To enjoy the people that we're around. To enjoy our partners, and express our love and our gratitude for our home or our being able to drive. The water that we drink. So just my heart wants to share to just really embrace life experience, really embrace this journey on this earth, and really smell the flowers, like the sun, like the sky, beyond nature. God is all around us. This energy of the universe is all around us. That's the beauty of being alive, so I think that's the thing that we forget. So in spirituality and quantum healing, I was like, what is my gut saying? What is my higher self saying? Like, what planet am I? It's just so much. And it's like, the more that you enjoy this life experience, the more that we're contributing to the love in the world, to the collective, and to those energies too. It's almost like, the way I see it, it's almost like they're watching us enjoy this planetary experience. And so imagine what a good movie they're watching if they're watching you really enjoy yourself. Like, I feel they would be so proud and so like, she gets it or he gets it.
Wow.
And that's just how I feel.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful perspective to stand in, like, to give ourselves kind of a objective, so to speak, viewpoint when someone else sees our lives. Like, does it look like we're enjoying it? Does it look like it's a worthwhile, quote unquote, movie? Right. And I love how you said he gets it or she gets it, because it's like, we're a part of this greater whole. And so the thing that it wants, collective consciousness wants the most, I would imagine, is for us to ascend, is for us to raise our vibration so we can recognize how connected we all are, and then teach that and share that with everyone around us so that everyone can be activated and awakened and raise their vibration as well. I love it. I love it, Angie. So if there were any final words to give to our audience, what would those be so that we can, really receive the wisdom, the truth, the love, anything else you want to share and own it and apply it in our lives?
Final words. The pressure.
Your last share was like gold. I was like, how's she gonna top that one?
I'm not even thinking of it in that sense. I'm more so like, what is it? I would say that I always say, a smile to a stranger or a smile to anyone can change so much. In this climate that we live in, I say this to my fiance all the time, but you see people who are very, walking in with like a hoodie on, or like you get like nowadays anyone can be a terrorist, right? I'm serious. And one of the things that I do, if you see someone like shady or someone like, what are they up to?
Right.
And they're just walking by, one of the things that I do is smile at them, because to me, I think that, let's say that person was going to do something
right.
horrible. but maybe the smile changed their mind.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that would be my last words.
It's powerful, Angie. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. That's gold. So our audience is loving this interview. They want to know more about you, how to stay connected, how to get more Angie. How do they do that?
Yeah, so people, easiest way to contact me is my email,
Okay.
contact@angie-sanchez.com.
Okay.
Social media, I'm most active on Instagram.
Mhm.
So like comment on a post or a DM, I'm very accessible that way.
And your Instagram is _
Yeah.
Angie M Sanchez, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and then my website, Angie-Sanchez.com, and I'll have some services, some new things coming up, opportunities to work one-on-one, and I do workshops as well. And I'll be down in San Diego actually next weekend, at the Epic Mastermind in San Diego. So
awesome.
Yeah, if I have extra tickets, I'll definitely let you know.
Let me know. Yeah, awesome, Angie. Well, thank you so much for the work that you're doing in the world, the play that you're doing in the world, the creation that you're doing in the world, and having fun and being joyful, sharing your love, and just like radiating that out. I'm super stoked to see as you own this even more, as you share it even more, as you develop your platforms and get on more interviews and even like books and courses and stuff in the future, and speaking even more. It's going to be awesome to see the impact that you have and the ripple effect, the tsunami effect that you have in the world, empowering and uplifting people. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. And we're on this journey together, so I'm equally excited for that. All of those things for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Angie. I appreciate you so much. Have the best day ever, okay?
You too.
All right.
Bye.